Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2022 film Nocebo. It's a Shudder exclusive and it's coming to Shudder on Friday, February 24th. So since it's a new film and when I'm putting this out, it's not even on Shudder yet, this is a no spoiler review. So let's get into this one. Directed by Lorcan Finnegan, who also did Without Name as well as Vivarium, which I do have a review for Vivarium on my channel. I was kind of middling a bit on that film. There were some things I really liked about it, some things I really didn't like, but you can watch that review yourself. Written by Garrett Shanley, who also wrote scripts for Without Name and Vivarium. If you see here, this is why they're working together yet again, because they've been working together. Guess if it works, just keep going. Stars Eva Green. A lot of people will know her from, well, hopefully know her from Penny Dreadful. That show was so good. Okay. Season 1 was really good. Season 2 was good. And Season 3 was not good. But she was awesome in that. She's been in a lot of horror stuff. She's an excellent, excellent actress. And that's one of the things is, for the most part, the acting was really good in this film. So that's a big thumbs up. Other things that Eva Green's been in: Dark Shadows, the newer one, Penny Dreadful, like I said, and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which I actually saw that at the drive-in, and I liked it. I thought that was a good one for, a younger crowd. This is a collaboration of the United States, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and the Philippines. So a very mixed film, which is cool. I like that about it. I love when they do stuff like that. So yeah, again, it's a Shudder exclusive coming Friday, February 24th. Quick synopsis, don't want to give you too much if you want to watch this film, because I think it's a good film. I did definitely enjoy this film. I thought it was pretty good. A lot of strengths to it. Some things I didn't really like that much, but a lot more good than there is bad in it. So it's about a woman and her family who, she's a fashion designer for kids. And she's been going through a tough time lately. She's developed some sort of something going on where she's tending to forget things. It's questionable whether it's having, like mood swings induced for her and stuff like that. And then one day, a Filipino maid shows up who she doesn't remember, asking to come there and be her maid, or housekeeper, really. And yeah, it goes from there, and there's a horror element to it. I don't want to say too much, but I will say that they kind of very early on introduce this idea of, because of what's going on with the main character, because it's from her perspective, can you actually trust her? And it's not, I guess I should qualify that. It's not 100% from her perspective, but a lot of the time it is from her perspective. And in those moments, for the majority of the film, you're kind of like, well, it's been introduced early that she's having these issues. So really early on, they're just kind of like, can you trust her or can you not trust her? So I'm not going to tell you which way it goes, obviously, but it works. It definitely works the way they set that up. The music is a bit much, in my opinion. It literally is going hard when people are doing mundane, simple things. That's one of my big, I guess not big, but like a pet peeve of mine, is when scores are just like too over the top. It's like they're screaming at you. They're trying to tell you how to feel at any given moment. I like more restrained. That's more my mode. And this one's not very restrained. Literally, it's screaming at you to feel certain ways when there's almost nothing going on in the film, really. So yeah, like I said, it's like going hard when there's just something very simple and mundane going on, and you're just like, it feels out of place. It feels odd. It's a weird choice. It does not take too long to get interesting. That's the great thing. They hook you in kind of early, make you start thinking, what's really at play here? What is going on? And also, where is this going? And where it ends up going, pretty solid, pretty good. Good directing and cinematography. There are a few interesting shots that are employed here. If you've seen something like Vivarium before, then you know that the directing and cinematography was good in that one. It is also good in this one, so not great, not like super inspired and amazing, but good. I would say it's good. There are some lighting issues, in my opinion. Areas where, it's a little too dark, you can't see what you need to see. That's another one of my pet peeves coming into play here. So Yeah, they needed to fix some of these lighting problems that they were having, it may have just been an intentional choice. It probably was an intentional choice, but that's something I just don't understand. You know, if there's something on screen that we're supposed to be seeing, light it enough so we can see it. You know what I mean? There is something to be said for like lighting a certain amount of space and then like leaving it dark on the outside, so that it's kind of like, ooh, there's something lurking off just in the darkness. But they don't do that. It's just kind of like, I can't see what's happening. It's annoying. They did a nice job with the CGI in this. That's not always the case. So, you know, big props to them for, you know, getting the CGI to look quite good. I think maybe it partially works as well as it does because a lot of the times it's more dark lighting when they're doing the CGI, which, I mean, is smart because you see less of the kind of rough edges to it. There are events that pop up that don't feel like they fit, but make you wonder how they'll end up folding into the story. They do. I mean, this isn't a situation where like they just throw some random stuff in and it has nothing to do with the story. But when it popped in, I'm like, does this go? Like, are we going to go somewhere with this? Is this actually going to become part of what we're watching? And it does. So, you know, stick with it. At first, I was kind of like, this is weird, but yeah, stick with it. It just felt kind of abrupt, is all. This is some interesting, there is some interesting imagery that they end up invoking in some scenes. Yeah, it's really like the metaphor at play and the imagery on the screen. Kind of unsettling, kind of disturbing, very interesting. So a few of those things going along with the good directing, good cinematography aspect of it. I did like some of their strong imagery that comes into play. There's an interaction between two characters close to an hour in where things shift, and it seems that the pace is really about to pick up at that point. I think it backpedals a little bit after that, but for the most part, that is where things start to get even more interesting. That is when things really do start to pick up, which makes sense because it's a little bit past an hour and a half film. So if you're really hitting that stride at like the hour mark, that's kind of typical, I feel like, for films like this. There is a very impactful revelation that happens towards the end of this film. I'm not going to say in what way, because obviously I'm not giving spoilers or anything like that, but there is a revelation that you get as a viewer towards the end of the film that worked quite well. I really enjoy them employing that. That was nice. And decent enough ending. Overall, ending pretty solid. I enjoyed how it kind of tied everything up at the end. It's a good film. I really do recommend this. It looks good. It's well acted. The music's a bit much. The script is good. Yeah, I mean, the story, it's a fun ride. Well, maybe not fun, but like it's an interesting, good ride. I would argue that it is too long, but I can see where people would also argue against that. So I'm just saying, for me personally, I was watching it and I'm like, it feels a little bit too long for me. Pacing suffers a little bit, but I could definitely see other people being like, oh, no. I wanted this to take a little more time, kind of like live in the atmosphere, because they do create some decent atmosphere in it. So I could see it both ways. I do not like the kid actor in this. No, I'm sorry. It's not the actress. Sorry. I do not like the kid in this. I like the actress. I think she did a good job for what she was supposed to do. I think the character is terrible. So I think this was a directing issue where they were telling her this is the way you need to be, or it was a writing issue, or it was a combination of the two things. But that character, so annoying. Did not like that character at all. Also, it's a very small thing, but her name's Roberta, and they call her Bobs for short. I've never seen that, or never heard that. I don't know if that's actually a thing or not. It just annoyed me. It's just something that annoyed me. The sound of it, I was just like, I don't get it. Just a small thing, you know. There's an interesting meshing of Eastern and Western culture and how it kind of like does or doesn't mix in this film. And I think that's one of the things that really sucked me in, is that kind of like mix of East and West. And that fits into the story in general, but it's also just an interesting thing to experience from a film standpoint of like putting those two worlds together, because there are aspects that are very Western and there are aspects that are very Eastern. And in some ways they go together really well, and in other ways they clash. And in the ways that they clash, I think that was intentional. So it's very interesting. I like that aspect of the film. I am going to talk about some like subtextual things now. So if you don't want the subtext slash some thematic things, you can go ahead and stop right now. But here we go. There's an interesting dichotomy of public and professional life versus personal, and how disconnected those two things can be. Basically, how are you acting? How are you being perceived in a public sense, and what's actually going on at home in your personal life, what your struggles are like. It's very real with, real life, because everyone has that. Like, you're expected to act a certain way, or you want to act a certain way, or come off a certain way in public in a professional manner. Yet at home, things are very different. You can kind of like let your hair down a little bit more. You more vulnerable. You have more issues going on that other people don't really know about. That type of stuff. So I like that. And the last thing is, this seems like it would pair very well with the film Slacks, that I think is still on Shudder. I really enjoyed that. I have a review for it on my channel, by the way. No spoiler review. It's very different, but they go together. And once you would watch this film and you would watch Slacks, you would understand why I think they would be a good double feature. But until you do, you might not get it. But anyway, yeah. So this is where I'd love to hear your opinion on the film if you watched it at this point. Go ahead and put it in the comments. We can do spoilers in the comments. That's totally good. Also, do me a quick favor. Hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate that. That's your best way to repay me if you like anything I've ever done, including this video. And go ahead and hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when I'm putting up new videos. And I'm doing 3 or 4 a week at this point, which I think is a good amount. Putting in a lot of work for this. So please support me. I would appreciate that. But regardless, thanks for taking your time to check out this video. And until next time, keep it brutal.